What is up, guys? NYKia31 here, bringing you a Madden 15 video, part 2 of my 3-4 defense setup. Part 1, I went over a little bit of an overview of the 3-4 defense in the game. I don't really play it that much. I don't like the 3-4 defense in this game at all. Video game football, for whatever reason, jacks up the 3-4 defense all the time. I only play 3-4 with one team in online franchise, and this is how I play. I'm just using the Houston Texans as an example because they're a team that I'm currently, fooling around with when I am in the mood to mess around with online ranked games, which isn't very often these days. But anyhow, part 1, I go over strengths and weaknesses of the 3-4 in the game, general overview of how the 3-4 is supposed to work in reality. I go over the versus also trying to get it to work as close as you can to that, and also going over the 3-4 defense of choice that I play, which is the Ravens defensive playbook, and the audibles that I use for that playbook and why. And this one I'm going to go over, roster setup. Once you have your playbook and understand what a 3-4 is supposed to do, how it's supposed to work, the next is having the guys on the field in the right spots doing what they need to do to best get the results you want to get. So here we go. Start with the defensive line. The defensive line is pretty simple. First and foremost, before anything else, I want strength and block shedding. Now here in the Texans, I'm spoiled at defensive end with, J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt can do everything. He can play 3-4 defensive end. He can play 4-3 defensive end. He can play 4-3, 3-technique defensive tackle. He can play 4-3, 1 or 0 technique defensive tackle. It doesn't matter. He's just that good. He's got, 80 speed, 97 strength, 93 acceleration. Where he can tackle, has good hit power, great block shedding, great pursuit, good play rec, 55 zone coverage for defensive end. And he can catch the ball. So, he's just a freak of nature. But most teams do not have 78 catching. My gosh. Drop him into hooks, have a party. But most teams don't have a J.J. Watt. Most teams have a guy like, this dude. So if you're gifted with a J.J. Watt, have fun. If you're not, then the way I like to play this, since most people run their offenses right-handed, and since most offensive formations are right-handed by nature as well, I like to have my best block shedding and strength defensive end on the offense's right side, and on the depth chart at the left defensive end position. My other guy, I can afford to have him a smidge weaker. Jared Crick, he's the best that I have the other side. Mediocre player, mediocre strength, mediocre acceleration. He's got decent awareness. I can live with 75. He's just an average player. But he's got really good hit power, which helps. And, his block shedding is mediocre, and power move is mediocre, Could you go with Keith Browner? Yes, I suppose, but Ty always goes to awareness and play rec and tackling. And pursuit is 84. So, gotta live with it. And the game handles the defensive line pretty well. There's not really much of a thing as a true two-gap player. The double team pass blocking is pretty much predictable, both in the running game and in the passing game. So you need guys who can hold their ground if they don't get off the blocks as best as they can and shed the blocks. The nose tackle is treated pretty well. He needs to be an ox, and since Notre Dame has a presence on this team, the Notre Dame guy starts. He's a little bit weaker than, Ryan Pickett, but he's got better block shedding and better tackling. So, and good pursuit, 92 block shedding. So, what you want to have is, strong, stout anchors there to, help clog things up and to free up your backers and allow them to cause some havoc, both as pass rushers when you blitz, and also in the run game when you have to run blitz. They take up and can beat blocks, or they can, occupy a guy enough so that you can either mop up with a user control backer, or if you have guys who have good play rec and pursuit back there, do their thing. Now the backers. We'll start with the outside backers. Left outside backer, I have Clowney move from the right to the left, and again, same reason why I have my best run-stopping defensive end on the offense's right side. Clowney gives me the best block shedding I can have. At 84. Good pass rusher at 91. Good hit power, good tackling. And on the right, we have Mr. Brooks Reed. Out with him over Whitney Merciless. Whitney Merciless is the better pass rusher. 88 power move versus 85. And they're both, okay tacklers. He's got better play rec. And I can live with my, outside backers being a little bit light in zone coverage. They're going to be my pass rushers primarily, and my, edge run defenders. So pass rush, block shedding, tackling, pursuit. And they're not going to be asked to do that much in zone coverage outside of hook zone. Well, not really hook zones. Hook zones, I want my middle linebackers out there. But mainly, flat zones. And if I'm calling, cover 3, not cover 3, but cover 2 sync, I try to make sure I have, guys position subbed where they can do the least amount of damage in coverage and the most amount of damage in the pass rush. Like I'll go with Whitney Merciless in a nickel or dime package at defensive end where I don't have to worry about the run, and I'll sub in a coverage backer to the outside like, I don't know, Tuggle, Muhammad, or Bullock in place of Brooks Reed. Just kind of maximize my resources there as best as I can. Now, the inside backers is where the 3-4 kind of breaks down in this game, because what should be happening is that the inside backers need to be working in a tandem. Like, for example, if Brian Cushing reads zone run, he needs to plug his gap, and Akeem Dent needs to be looking back for a cutback or counter, what have you. If one backer reads counter or, trap or power to his side, they have to fill that gap, and the backside guy has to kamikaze and meet that fullback or, pulling lineman before he can land in the lap of the linebacker who's trying to fill that gap. If he doesn't, bad things are going to happen. But in this game, it doesn't quite work that way. If you're playing in zone coverage, they're going to, take initial steps toward their zone before their play rec and pursuit kicks in. So if you're not having him run downhill on a blitz, then you got to keep that consideration, and then as a result you want guys with good play rec and good pursuit in here and good block shedding when they do have to take on those blocks. The linemen will take on the double team blockers, but the 3-4 is really vulnerable to the 0-1 trap and the HB power and HB base play because of the fact that the linebackers aren't working in tandem. So you either got a user to fill the gap, call plays that shoot the gap, or muck things up with your user controlled safety or user controlled lineman, whoever you wish to use her. So the way I have this set up here, I want my linebacker number one linebacker on my depth chart to kind of act as my prototypical 4-3 middle linebacker. Play rec, pursuit, zone coverage, block shedding, all that good stuff, tackling. He's got to roam around, do a lot of things. If you have a team like the Niners, Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis are interchangeable. You're gifted. Be happy. My second backer, I want to have him be more stout. I can get away with him not being as good of a coverage guy because his zone coverage responsibility is not going to be, as heavy as this guy's. So, Akeem Dent's okay. Average play rec, decent pursuit. Oh, it's okay. 83 block shedding is okay. In a lot of 3-4 sets, you're going to have crossfire blitzes and inside backer blitzes. So, you know, when you're run blitzing, he's going to be able to have a pretty good chance of holding his own. And he's a good tackler. Corners, you know, whatever type of corner fits your fancy. Safeties, what I like to do, and you see this when I play with the Jets, I'm playing 4-3 under front Seahawks style with the Jets. I like to have my best coverage safety out of the two always in that deep middle zone in the cover 3. Always sub to so he's in that spot. And the run plugger, playing that either robber safety position or playing the curl flat in the cover 3 when I play cover 3. To me, that just makes sense. You know, DJ Swearinger, he's got the hit power. And he's not quite as good as his own cover as, you know, Kendrick Lewis. So when I'm in my sub screen, you can tell by, you know, how the safeties are aligned when you're in 3-4 over, under, predator, stack, bear, what have you. Who's where and as a result who's doing what. The curl flat and the robber safety on the play call screen, he's going to be a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage, generally speaking. Sometimes you got to take a peek and make sure that that's the case as far as what they're doing on a given play call, but you know, that's usually the way it works in the game, so it makes it easy to do safety swap on the formation substitutions, or just manually go ahead and do it. So that's really it, you know. Follow the same rules with whatever team you choose to roll with, and you'll have good results. I mean, some teams are better than others, so you'll have better results than others. And it depends on, you know, what you're going up against front 7, no, not front 7 wise, but, you know, offensive line wise versus your front 7. But I will not lead you astray. Follow the rules and you will do well. So that is it for part 2. In part 3, I'll do some live gameplay and commentary on what I'm calling and, you know, why it's working, why it's not working, and what you need to do to counter what someone is throwing at you. So hope you guys enjoy, and I'll talk to you all later.